Alright, hello everybody. I'm Adam, and this is gonna just be a walkthrough of a personal project I've been working on a Playground Org, and it's just an attempt at a personal finance, household finance tracking app. You'll see this main dashboard I have has a lot of different stuff. I will get to everything eventually, but I just wanted to walk through this and try to explain some stuff that I've done, and maybe see if anybody has any thoughts on what could be done better or anything that you found helpful. I would love to know about it. So with that said, we will just get started going. Well, let's start with the title. Kasovdi is just a combination of mine and my wife's last names. It's not our actual last name, although it's a very cool one, and I think it should be. Anyways, you can see the logo is a FI logo I've created for financial independence, which is a pretty big passion of mine, achieving said independence. And that's that introduction. So let's get into the custom objects. We'll start with investments, which currently contains my taxable stuff, my non-retirement stuff. So you'll see I have my stocks, funds, and bonds, and then I also have my cryptocurrencies. Basically, we just have our ticker symbols, we have our current value. These are not current, by the way. Number of shares, whether it has a dividend. If it has a dividend, these details must be filled in. So our X date and our dividend yield. We have our cost basis, which is how much we have invested before any gains or losses. We have a total return formula calculation. These aren't accurate. I've done a lot of test records and I have a flow. That's a different video. But that's the important stuff for this. Then we have retirement accounts, which are set up very similarly, just with a few less things involved. So we have an institution we have the account type, and then again, current value, cost basis, and total return. So pretty straightforward. Next up is the debt, which is a big deal. I have a lot of student loan debt. These are much lower than they actually are in reality. But you can see I have the servicer, which is the bank or the person I owe, the balance due, the interest rate, the minimum payment, when in the month it's due, and then this payoff date is a formula field that, based on the balance due and the minimum monthly payment, it just works out a number of months until that will be fully paid off, and it gives that to me as a calendar date. So that's pretty slick. I'm aggressively paying these loans off, so these aren't going to be accurate either. Will be paid off before then. But that's not, you don't care about that. Let's move on to spending. Now, spending is kind of a focus for me. Of course, if you don't know where you're spending your money, you can't really decide what to do with it. You can't know. Just you need to track your spending. If you're not tracking your spending and your money is bad, you should be tracking your spending. That's a different video too. But this is just expense records. So you'll see here I have most of these are tests that I've been doing for a flow that I've made. But then, for instance, we have a dental bill payment and a student loan payment. So that's that. This is just monthly. If we go to all of it, you'll see more. But yeah, so I have categories. I have my amount spent, I have my date, and I have my method. And I can actually show you a different, or something else about it. Let's go to spending on our object manager to show you the fields that I have on there, because they are the only ones that are a bit more in depth. So I have that category, which has many different options. Among them are debt payment, investment, and retirement savings. Now, if I want that to happen, I also have these lookups for my debts, my investments, my retirement account records, which means that I can't if I set this category when I'm creating a spending record, this category is retirement savings. I have to fill in this field, and that's that. It's just required. That's a validation rule I made. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's spending. On to other assets, which I should probably combine with my investments as just a record type. So this is going to be our cash, our emergency fund, our cars, anything that basically isn't liquid or isn't even money. So if we owned a house, I would put that equity in there. Yep. So next up is income. Very straightforward. We just have an amount, we have a date, we have our source, and for anything that is pre-tax, which is just a category I also have on there. So our category, our income type is going to be a paycheck pre-tax. And when that happens, we're going to calculate an approximate 30% tax due, roughly. That's what this field is. And then the last custom object we have is going to be our monthly log, which is kind of separate from everything else. And this is coming from the main spreadsheet that I actually use to track our finances day to day. And these are just on the first of each month, where do all of these things lie? We have our cash, my crypto, random PayPal or Cash App balances, taxable securities, retirement accounts, total assets, debt, net worth. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's all the custom objects. Now I can get into some of our reports. You can put all this stuff together, and it basically is just like having a bunch of spreadsheets. And what good does that do you if we can't look at the data in a reasonable way and an actionable way? So here are some reports. Spending by category to break down where our spent money is going. Our current net worth, which is based on our monthly log. And the rest of them are going to be based on all of our custom objects. We got income by owner, debt payments, dividend investments, income by source, investments by type, retirement accounts by type. So these are just some things that I wanted to keep track of and I wanted to have numbers for. And so we can see on our home dashboard, most of those will come into play. As soon as it loads. So you can see I've turned those reports into dashboards, dashboard components that I want to know. So I have, as of the first of the month, where our net worth numbers lie. And then going down, we have our spending broken down into a nice chart. Now, these are from testing, so these numbers just aren't going to be accurate. I don't need to keep saying that, but I guess I will. We have our taxable investments by type, so stocks and cryptos. This would also include bonds, if I had any bonds, but I don't like them, so I don't have them. And we have a couple for income, so just between my wife and me, and then where the income is coming from. I have debt payments, which is simple. And I have a chart of my dividend paying investments, which again is very straightforward, and retirement accounts amounts. And that's all that's on this dashboard. And the dashboard, the monthly logs came into play for this. Once it loads again. Now this is just going to be, I don't need to refresh because I haven't done anything since the first of the month. So this is just a monthly tracking of our things. And I wanted it to be separate just to keep it on its own, not lost in the mix of the whole home dashboard. So here we just have the tracking, which is nice to see. As this goes on and on, I'm just going to keep seeing it climbing and climbing and climbing. And that's that. So those are really the actionable parts of my personal project org here. I'm still tweaking things. I'm still adding stuff. I've been working on flows, working on learning how to make flows properly. I'll have another video about that, maybe a couple. This stuff kind of isn't super useful, but this was just different kind of random Trailhead modules that I've did inside of this org. So I set up chatter. I set up some chatter groups, a spending tracker in chatter, which isn't working. It's not running. I'm not so sure about that. I added my calendar and linked it up to my Gmail and my Google Calendar. So that's it. I have my admin certification this Friday. Wish me luck. Yeah, so that is my personal project. Maybe this is cool for you and you want to try it out on your own. If so, let me know and I can maybe shoot you some tips. If you have any ideas that any ways I could do this more efficiently or differently, I would also love to know that. Just let me know. I'll appreciate any kind of feedback. And until next time, we'll see you.